It's time to find some day trades, swing trades, and option trades. Hello, traders. It is Monday morning, June 22nd. We're 2.5 hours into trading. Pretty lackluster action right now. Let's take a look at what the market's doing. You can see here Friday we gapped up higher. Market started to sell off. We got sell programs kicking in, and that set up a bearish trend day with the market closing on its low. Today we gapped down very briefly, and then the market rebounded, and now we're kind of stuck in this range. You can see how the low from Friday has been able to hold. Also, the high from Friday has been able to hold. We are going to stay within this range. We're probably even going to stay within the first hour range, that being the high, that being the low. But if we do get through the high of the day, we're probably not going to get much further than that because we've got resistance right up at this level here. So not too much going on. This is a day to keep your size down, your trade count down, and expect that the market's not going to go anywhere. So on a day like this, it is critical, if you're a day trader, to find heavy volume, because heavy volume means that there's going to be some follow through and that you can get behind a move and at least ride it for a little bit of a gain. Otherwise, if it doesn't have the volume, it's probably just going to chop around because there's no momentum to it. So let's take a quick look and see if we can find any decent trades. Overall, I think the market's going to move sideways. We're in a news vacuum. We're about 3 weeks out from earnings season. There aren't any major economic releases. The coronavirus new cases are going up, but they're testing more people. On a percentage basis, that has remained constant. So you hear the media pounding everybody about how the new cases are growing. That's because we're testing more people. It has nothing to do with the reopening. The reopening is not going to stall out. President Trump has said we're not going to shut the country down again. Practice social distancing, put on your face masks. So I think that gradually the recovery is going to take hold. The matter that's in question is how are earnings going to be received, because we don't know how devastating the impact was to the bottom line. I do know that CEOs have been saying that Q2 is going to be much worse than Q1. We're also seeing about 750,000 new mortgage delinquencies. Those are mortgages that are 30 days or more past due or in foreclosure, and that is about an 8% month over month increase. This should be the trough for that. This should have been the lowest point because we had a lot of people that were unemployed that weren't able to keep up with their mortgages. I think the banks are going to be somewhat lenient and try and extend those payments out over the course of the next 2, 3, 4 months while the economy gets back on track. So I would expect that to be a trough. I'm not overly concerned with it. There's just not a lot of news right now to drive the market. And we'll go into a daily chart, take a look at that, see if we can find any information there. You can see how the market did just take out the high of the day. Incidentally, I've got to show you my 10P indicator. This is what we use to trade the S&P 500. We use it on a 5-minute basis. In fact, we also use the same indicator to tell us if we should be long stocks or short stocks during the course of the day. And we use stocks with relative strength and relative weakness as surrogate market positions. That provides us with a huge edge over trading the S&P 500 futures. But I know a lot of people like to trade the futures, so I'm going to show you how accurate it is. You can see here, you've got a bearish cross right there with the indicator spiking. It's telling you to go short. That was a beautiful short. It's telling you to go long right here. That was a decent long. We knew we were in a bearish trend day, so you probably should only take the short signals. Bearish cross right there. Beautiful. Bullish cross right here. Beautiful. This is an anticipatory indicator that took me 10 years to develop. So it's not a step behind, it's a step ahead. And so you wait for technical confirmation. In this bullish case here, you would wait for a breach of that downward sloping trend line. Boom, you're in right there. Very nice. Got an upward sloping trend line here. Bearish cross, you would get short in here. Very nice. Early this morning, you had a nice bullish cross right out of the open, right in there. Perfect. Now you've got a bearish cross right in there. Wait for that trend line to be breached. That's how it works. Here you got a bullish cross. Very nice. Very, very accurate indicator. If you're an S&P 500 day trader, you should take the 2-week free trial and really give this a shot. So, what are we going to do right now? We've got the market trying to get up through this high of the day. We can set an alert there. I'm going to double click on this. That is a resistance point that we'll be watching. This is a middle of the day long green candle. I'm not going to read too much into it. I think that they're just hunting to see if they can trigger some stops at the high of the day. Anybody that's shorted up here is going to be shaken out. So I think that we'll continue to maybe try for the high, or not for the high, but for this resistance level from Friday. And I don't think we're going to get through it. I think we're going to move sideways. So now we've got to try and find some stocks with relative strength. And I've got a couple for you. I'm going to keep this video fairly short. First, I want to take a look at two stocks. I'd mentioned BZUN in a video that I did Sunday night. I'd mentioned to you that I like selling an out of the money bullish put spread on this. Actually, it wasn't a put spread. It was just selling naked out of the money puts. And we were going to be keying off of that $35 strike price. You can see how BZUN has pulled back today. We'll go on to that daily chart. And you can see that support line that we were leaning on. That's right at that 200-day moving average. We're looking to get 70 cents for that. I believe these options have been bid somewhere in the 85, 90 cent range. So you could do much better on that trade. I still like it. I think it still works. I love that support that we're leaning on. BILI was the other stock. You can see how it's also pulling back. It's testing that breakout right in there. These options, I believe I had mentioned selling those for 40 cents. I know they were bid 60 cents earlier today, so you could have done much better on that if you decided to take the trade. Both stocks have been able to find support. So just wanted to give a quick recap on that. I still like it. You've got the stock above major support right here on that breakout, which is about $35. I like the trade. I would buy the stock back in here. Look at that strength. Very strong mover on big volume. So I ran across another stock that I'm going to highlight for my pick of the day as far as an option swing trade. Walmart came up. And if you take a look, you have to exclude this bar right here because that was earnings reaction right there before the open. So the stock gapped up on that earnings announcement and then sold off the whole day. So just erase this bar right here. And if you do that, you can see how there's a downward sloping trend line that comes right down in like this. And you can see how that's been breached to the upside. You can also see that we've got two major moving averages, the 100-day and the 200-day. And below that, we've got a pretty nice little technical support level right around that 117 level. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 tests of that 117 level, and now we're back up above the 200-day and the 100-day moving average. I like selling an out of the money bullish put spread, keying off that 117 price point. I sold the 117 puts this morning, expiring on July 2nd, and I bought the 116 puts, and I did that for a 15-cent credit. That trade has about 2 weeks worth of life. If the spread expires worthless, I'm going to make somewhere in the neighborhood of about a 20% return on investment on that one. So really nice trade. I think Walmart's going to do well regardless of what happens with the market. They've done a lot of business during the coronavirus. Sales were really up high. I don't see that changing. I like this pullback in the stock. I like this major support level. I like the fact that it's breaking this downward sloping trend line. This is the type of play that I'd be looking for in a very quiet market. Plus, by selling the July 2nd options, we have a major holiday coming up that weekend, and that usually takes a few days out before the holiday, a few days after the holiday. So option premiums start to contract because there's not a lot of action going on in the market. I would still be looking to sell out of the money bullish put spreads. I feel that the market is going to go sideways. So Walmart is the trade of the day for swing traders and for selling out of the money bullish put spreads. Really like that trade. So I'm going to go in and take a look at the market very quickly here because I want to paint a broader picture. You can see how we've got this upward sloping trend line is still intact, comes into play somewhere around SPY 305. Put up those major moving averages. You can see how the 200-day and the 100-day moving average are at the $300 level and the $295 level respectively. And last week, 1, 2, 3 tests of that 200-day moving average. On Monday, we actually fell below it, but we had a really bullish reversal throughout the entire day with the market closing on its high of the day. Tuesday, that momentum right there forced a big gap higher. and I believe the S&P rallied about 70 points right out of the gate. Well, we spent the rest of the week filling in that gap right there. And now we have found support at that closing price right there, which this is a nice little support level. You can see how the market's been moving higher today. I think that we're going to go sideways in here. There's still not a lot of clarity. We don't know how quick the recovery is going to happen. We don't know how devastating Q2 earnings are going to be. So everyone is in a holding pattern, kind of waiting for that news to happen. Not a lot of economic releases. So we're just going to muddle along. We're in the summer doldrums, so this is a time to keep it very light. Reduce your trade count, reduce your size, use more passive targets. I consider this to be a fairly low probability trading environment. So, out of the money bullish put spreads, they still work. You have to be patient, wait for those market dips. They won't last long, so you got to be a little bit aggressive getting the trade on, and then you just sit and let time decay work in your favor. So, I'm going to show you a couple of stocks that I like today, and I'm going to go into my heavy buying, and we'll take a look and see if there's anything that looks good there. Sono has been moving higher. It's above the 200-day moving average. It's a cheap little stock. NVIDIA, I set an alert. That's what an alert looks like. You can see how it's breached above the trend line. So let's go in and take a look at it. And there we go. I had the high from Friday set as my alert. And you can see how we're just taking out that high. Actually, I've had two alerts, one here and one here, so it gave me a little bit of forewarning so I could start watching it, but there's the actual high from Friday. We may get another alert on NVIDIA. Yes, NVIDIA looks pretty good. I've got another stock, though, that I like even better, and I'm going to see if it's still up on any of the searches. The stock is SNAP, Snapchat. Let's see what that's doing. And here you can see a nice steady grind higher in Snapchat. Go to the daily chart, and on the daily chart, there you can see that the stock has gotten through this major technical resistance level and how it's been continuing to power higher. So I like SNAP on a day trading basis. It could do well overnight. Also, it's got a nice head of steam and some decent volume. So when you're in this type of environment, I'd mentioned this to members this morning, this is a really good time to try and use some of the custom search criteria. And so I went in and I just ran a few searches. So I don't need to trade options when I'm day trading. I can day trade the stock just fine. A lot of people like finding cheaper stocks that are moving pretty well on a percentage basis. So I thought I would do a search with a stock price between $4 and $20. So I just identified that. I'd like to see heavy volume today. And this is going to measure the volume today relative to what the 20-day moving average would be for that volume to this point in time in the trading day. And there we go. NVIDIA just made that next new high there. So now it is actually through Friday's high, and that's how we trade. So this would be a good opportunity to get long. It's got some nice long green candles there, closing on their high. Take a look at the S&P 500. Here you can see it's starting to advance, adding onto that long green candle here. Still coming up to the resistance level that I had shown you from Friday, 1-2 resistance points. So still got to try and get through that. But yeah, market looks pretty good in here. We had that nice bullish 10P cross, and we've got NVIDIA making a new high for the day and taking out Friday's high. So yeah, that would definitely be a candidate. Going to the daily chart, you can see NVIDIA powering higher in here. So yeah, definitely like NVIDIA today as well. But I want to go back to that search because this is how you can find opportunities on your own. And let me click on the custom search engine. Hopefully we won't be interrupted anymore here, but if we are, it'll probably be a good trade. So I went in and I am looking for heavy volume on a 1-hour basis. Now that means that every 1-hour period within the trading day has been measured and we know what that volume should be. And we're looking for volume spikes that are a little bit longer term in nature. We can also go and look for a stock that has a 5-minute spike, 15-minute spike, 30-minute spike. I know what the average volume should be for every 5-minute increment for every stock every day. So I can tell you if there's a volume spike in the last 5 minutes of trading on any stock, and I can run that search. So I also want to see a stock that's above the prior day high. This would indicate to me that the stock has decent momentum on the upside. It's got heavy volume on the volume so far for today and on a 1-hour basis, and it's a relatively cheap stock. I run the search, and I'm going to click through these candidates, and we're going to see if we can find something that looks attractive. So we'll go into the daily chart, which we have there, and we're just going to be taking a look. There you've got a stock. Pretty decent momentum here, breaking through above the 200-day moving average. Not too bad. ALKS. Cord is one that I found. I really like this one because you've got it breaking out to a new all-time high. And incidentally, I could use that criteria if I wanted to as well. Instead of getting to the prior day high, I could say, hey, let's find a stock that's making a new 52-week high. Let's just do that. And we'll click scan. You can see how the candidates were greatly reduced. Now I've only got 3 stocks to take a look at. And Court was one of them. I like that. Let's take a look at it. You can see here how it's compressing. So what do I do with this information, Pete? Yeah, I kind of like the stock and I'd like to buy it, but I would like to see it get through this resistance point. Here's how we handle that. You click alert, click on that, click on that. Now I've got a downward sloping trend line. If the stock starts to rally and it breaches that downward sloping trend line, I'm going to know about it. And then I can take a look at the market, see if it's got relative strength, and decide if I want to take the trade. GNMK. There's another one. Look, I've already drawn the line on that one because I want to know if the stock breaks out. If it does, you've got a bullish flag. There's your flagpole. There's the stock pulling back. If it gets above it, it's probably going to continue to run. At very least, it'll challenge this resistance, might even get up to the high of the day. Final one on the list, NK. Kind of same deal here. Going to click on alert, click on that candle there, click on that candle right here. Got my downward sloping trend line. As the stock comes in, it's going to continue to move lower. If I wanted to have a more aggressive trend line, I could click here and I could click here. And now I'm going to have a really nice steep downward sloping trend line. That alert will come much earlier than it would on this line right here. So let's go back in here and we'll take a look at that. So heavy volume, very, very important on a day like this when the market's not doing a lot. You need that volume because then the stock has a chance to have some decent follow through. And there are a couple of searches like these bullish explosion searches that will also trigger very, very heavy volume if we start seeing candidates on that as well. There are all sorts of other criteria that we can also use. For instance, if we wanted to, we could go in and let's say that it's not heavy volume. First of all, let me take the H1 heavy volume off and let's move in a little bit. Let's go to maybe a 15-minute basis and see which stocks have had good volume in the last 15 minutes. I'm going to click on sand. Let's take a look at that. You can see that little volume spike right in there. That looks interesting. Let's take a look at the D1 chart, see what it's doing. You can see how it's breaking out through this horizontal resistance. Yeah, love that. Love that even for a swing trade. So heavy volume, breaking through horizontal resistance. It's through this downward sloping trend line. It's above the major moving averages. Yeah, I like it. Get a lot of questions during the course of the day, people asking me, what about this stock? What about this stock? In general, and I've used this analogy before, I want to have Barry Sanders at the 50-yard line with the football and nobody in front of him, because there's nobody going to stop him from going into the end zone. That's how I look at a stock. Yes, I could trade stocks that are pulling back and I could look for, bullish flag formations and all, but I'd rather have a stock that's already been able to get through all those resistance levels. It has a clean path to go higher. There's absolutely no visible signs of resistance that stock has to get through. I love that on a day trading basis because the path has been cleared. It can just tick, 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 grind higher and higher. This stock certainly meets that criteria. Love that breakout. So yeah, I think SAND looks actually pretty decent. That's how we found that one, just using the volume spike right here. Let's do something different. Let's look for a stock that has a good ADX. This tells me that it's got good upward momentum. And here you can see a number of other stocks. We're going to click through these. Fold is a new one. Put this off to the side. Look at that baby. Love it. Right through that horizontal resistance, long green candle, closing on its high, closing on its high, closing on its high. Very little overlap here. That is a sign of strength and excellent volume. And look at that baby go. That's how we do it. It's really not hard. You just have to go in, you use the custom search, get a little bit creative. You know, if I'm telling you you want to be looking for heavy volume, you look for heavy volume. Use that criteria. Use momentum as one of the variables. Also, 4-bar breakout, that's a nice pattern. You've got compressions, relative strength, you have trade signals. All these criteria can be used to find these stocks with this custom search engine. So giving you some good stocks to take a look at. I like NVIDIA. I think that breakout's nice. I like Snapchat, SNAP. I think that's a really good one for today. I love that little Walmart bullish put spread that I showed you earlier, selling the 117 puts and buying the 116 puts in July, the July 2nd expiration to be precise. And you can see that nice upward sloping trend line. I think Walmart's going to do well today. It's continuing to grind higher. It's a fairly choppy stock, so I think that you'll see it move higher and lower, but I'm not expecting it to retrace back to that 117 level in the next 2 weeks. I think this move is going to hold. I think it's going to continue to go higher. And then I showed you a couple of other nice little stocks that I think you can trade also using that custom search feature. That's all I've got for you today. Look for really quiet action the rest of the week. I think that the market's going to be in a news vacuum. It's going to be searching for direction each day. Mondays are typically very, very slow. If I had to take a look at the price action today, yes, we're going to try and get through this high here. I believe that all the decline from Friday was related to quadruple witching and sell programs kicking in. So I don't view this as being really nasty, heavy selling, profit taking, nothing like that. I think it was just program generated. So it wouldn't surprise me this week for us to be able to get above that 310.50 level. In fact, I'm expecting it. And I would expect us to be somewhere in the maybe 312 to 315 range during the course of the week, but not to make any big progress, but to confirm these support levels, kind of float right into here, and then tread water. Test the upside a little bit, test the downside a little bit, but over the course of 3 weeks, pretty much be around that 315 level. So low probability trading environment, reduce your trade count, use passive targets. Those are your guidelines for the next 3 weeks. I've given you some really nice stocks to look at. If you like the content, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn on your notifications. That way you'll never miss one of these videos and you won't miss trades like Walmart, NVIDIA, and Snapchat. Thanks so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching this YouTube video. I'm Pete Stolzers and I'm going to keep the trade ideas coming along with lots of education, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and please turn on your notifications so that you never miss another trade. If you like the content, please give it a thumbs up. I've loaded 2 other videos that I think you're really going to enjoy. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon.